Hi, everyone. So, Nicole here today. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is mindfulness meditation. Um, this one was an easy one to talk about for me because I love it so much, and I just find that it has such an impact with students, especially because we have so much on our minds and so much to keep straight, so much at stake, so lots of anxiety going around, and mindfulness is great for that. So let's just start. Slow down for a second and talk about what am I talking about? What's mindfulness? Mindfulness is a type of, like, it was originally like a Buddhist meditation. Um, yeah, so it's really ancient, and there's different kind of variations on it, but the type that I am referring to is kind of the Zen um, mindfulness, which they use in dialectical behavior therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, and some of my favorite evidence-based practices. So basically what it is just being here right now. So being able to like really focus on being here, which is not thinking about our past. So like, oh, I messed up on a test last week. I'm not thinking about that. I'm not worried about an assignment due tomorrow. In this moment, I'm not letting myself spiral down the future rabbit hole of doom. I'm being right here now, so I'm able to like focus on how am I feeling right now. What do I need to do to feel better? How's my thinking right now? What do I need to do to get my head straight, to study, and what one task am I going to do right now? Which you could imagine the value of, because sometimes we're just like chickens with our heads cut off, running around, trying to keep all these different assignments in the air. And how can you possibly focus when you're basically missing your head? So it's a way to get your head back on straight. So let's see. I just want to talk about as well, like how there's like kind of this perception that mindfulness might be really formal. So I've talked to people about it, and at first they might be like, oh, I've tried meditating. I hated it. Like, I can't clear my mind. I can't think of nothing. It's too hard. I'm just bored. And I always say to them, it's okay. You don't have to clear your mind. That's almost impossible. All we're going to try and do is bring our attention back to the present moment. So even very formal mindfulness meditation, maybe something like sitting in a comfortable upright position, and it might be like focusing on your breath. So like just breathing in and focus and noticing how that feels, and breathing out, noticing how that feels, and really trying to pay attention to your breath. Now, this is like a really rushed example. It's better to actually try, and I'll talk about some resources to try that later. But basically, it's when we get distracted, like, oh, my stomach hurts, or, oh, I'm thinking about something, I'm planning, I'm worrying. Basically, it's noticing what it is, letting it go, and bringing your attention back to the present moment. And it's basically like a way of training your brain to focus rather than getting like distracted easily by all the shiny objects and concerns. So that's the kind of stereotypical type of mindfulness we might think of, where it's like sitting and trying to focus on one thing. But really, there's informal ways of doing mindfulness as well. So just focusing on being with a pet, or focusing solely on the conversation you're having in the moment, or maybe you're doing yoga and you're trying to focus just on that, or any sport or any activity. Some people, they'll mindfully eat, or they'll do their spend their shower, their commute, just trying to be there doing that thing. Because sometimes we'll be driving somewhere and we'll be like, oh, I don't really know how I got here. I wasn't paying attention to the drive, and here I am, because our mind just is doing other things. Okay, so that's kind of what mindfulness is. It's being here now, and there's lots of ways to do that. So now I want to talk about what the point is of doing it. So mindfulness, like research-wise, has shown awesome effects on anxiety and depression. So if you think about anxiety, it's usually being worried about the future. So imagining things going horribly wrong down the road and being anxious about that, or anxious about all the things that could go wrong, or that we are pretty sure are going to go wrong. And then depression is often like just kind of feeling bad, maybe like comparing ourselves to others, or maybe like thinking about what went wrong, what we did wrong, and how, oh, I'm so stupid, I messed up that speech or whatever it was. And so that's kind of thinking about the past or thinking about others. It's also not being present. So that's why it makes sense that it's really effective on anxiety and depression. So, and the studies that show that, they're kind of, people are maybe doing it for 20 minutes a day. So yeah, they're kind of hardcore into it, but to the point where that's the only treatment they're getting, and their anxiety and depression is going like out of the clinical range. So it can be powerful. Let's see. So it also helps with just thinking clear, which makes sense. Hair malfunction. So yeah, thinking clear. So, if sometimes we're just like our minds all over the place, we can't really hear ourselves think, or let alone like plan what we're doing. So taking a moment to just try and like be here right now and hear what is going on through your brain, and being able to decide to either follow a thought or not. It's a skill that's so helpful for planning and so helpful for studying. So basically getting less distracted as well while we're doing work. So being able to notice something and then bring yourself back to the work, instead of like having a text message pop up and suddenly it's like, oh, I'm not studying anymore. I'm on my phone. I don't know how long it's been, but I'm distracted, and getting caught up in that distraction. Let's see, what else? There's been studies showing that people who do mindfulness before a test do better on it. So being like able to bring that focus and less distraction into a test situation has been shown to be really worthwhile. So it's a good skill for test taking too. And there's another layer to it, which I think is super interesting and relates to procrastination, which is people who do mindfulness are better able to manage their emotions and tolerate negative emotions. So if you imagine that, and I'm going to get a little conceptual here, and if you're interested in what I'm talking about, you may want to tune in for the webinar I'm planning. But if we imagine that procrastination may be a reaction to not wanting to do a task and just kind of wanting to avoid feeling bad, making ourselves do a task that makes us anxious, then the ability that mindfulness gives us to tolerate feeling bad would also give us the ability to tolerate starting our work when we don't want to. So that's why it's such a superpower for procrastinators, especially. Okay, so that sounds interesting. Kind of wondering, okay, how do I get going on this? How do I give this a try? So there are tons of apps and YouTube channels and podcasts and websites about mindfulness. Some of my favorite apps are Headspace, Calm, and Insight Timer. There's so many. What I often will do, because I like to look at them all and recommend, I will often try one out until I'm done their free trial, and then I'll try another one out, and I'll just keep going. But if you find one you like, then it might be worth paying for, but you don't necessarily have to do that either. So tons of good free options via the App Store. Another website I really like is called the Mindfulness Solution, and they have some meditations there that they give out for free, and it's based on a book, which is also really good. Really endless ways to learn about mindfulness. So basically, how I usually work with clients is we will find a form of mindfulness that they enjoy, that is tolerable to them. So for example, some people, it might be okay, when I'm working out, when I'm walking to class, I'm just going to be walking to class. And that's a form of mindfulness, and it totally counts, and it'll totally help. Some people prefer to do it formally. Some people like doing it before they go to sleep or when they're on the bus. Just really finding a way that doesn't feel like a burden. And also just remembering that it doesn't have to take long. You don't have to do it for 20 minutes a day. I had one student I was working with last year, and we really realized that he just needed 1 minute of mindfulness before doing homework to bring his anxiety level way down and bring his attention level right into focus. Literally a minute, like literally just sitting, focusing on breath, adjusting his tension and his thoughts. And it was like, it's a night and day difference for some people. So if you haven't tried it, highly recommend it. Basically, it's great because it helps us be in the present. And when we're procrastinating, we're not really being in the present. We're letting our mind wander all over the place. And it's kind of, the kind of power of now, as they say, like if you can be in the moment, then it's easier to sometimes start things in the moment. So just being aware of like when we're putting things off and deciding not to, mindfulness will build that muscle up in our brain. So I really encourage you to try it. And if you have tried it, let me drop me a comment. Let me know what kind of mindfulness you like, what kind of apps you like. Do you have any recommendations? Have you tried it and hate it? Are you gonna try it now that you listen to this? I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. And yeah, if you have any ideas for future Facebook Lives, I'm open to that. This is, I think, our third or fourth Facebook Live for our Students Conquering Procrastination group. So I will, I'll probably throw this on YouTube. So if you are seeing this on YouTube and you want to join the group, just find us on Facebook. And yeah, we welcome everyone who's a university student who wants to actually get hold of procrastination and get under control in your life so you can do your best in school. Okay, so thanks, guys. I'm going to say goodbye now. That's all I have to say about mindfulness. So hope you give it a try. Bye. Ending broadcast.